But yeah, I'm just gonna say like, how you been, dude?
Been doing really well, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Actually, let me say I've been a little bit emotional. We have a couple things going on right now, and it's just been tough. Not like real
Is
deep,
it?
but a lot of it has to do with just closing down the shop.
You planning to close down your shop?
We are going to reopen hopefully in a couple months, but this is kind of like the first location, and you know, it was kind of a bunk location or super hidden. So tearing down this week's just been kind of like, you know.
No way, I didn't know. For all y'all who don't know, you got a shop here in Kerman.
Yeah, TYT Sports Nutrition.
Sports Nutrition. But I didn't know you had to close down.
Yeah, so they wanted us to sign another year at the same location, and after doing the numbers, it really didn't make sense.
Really?
Especially with another possibility opening up right on 180 across the workout, which will be right down the street from Iron Fit. So it'll kind of
wow, that's perfect.
Yeah, it'll all be right there. So that's the hopes that within the next 3 months we'll be able to get that spot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be bigger. Nicer?
Yeah, it'll be bigger, nicer, better location, a lot more accessible.
Disguise.
Yep.
That's cool, man. So you're a bodybuilder.
I've been doing bodybuilding, man, for 16 years now.
I know you. I mean, I was part of. You also do a training thing too.
Yeah.
You train people. I was in your program for 2 or 3 months. I didn't stick with it, but I was in it and it was cool. It was cool. Tell me about that. Like, okay, let's start with the bodybuilding. So how did you get into bodybuilding? That's what I want to know. Because when I first met you, you were a powerlifter.
Yeah. So you met me probably about 6-7 years into my journey of doing lifting. That's a good question. Not a lot of people ask me that. You know, they just assume that
You always done it?
Always done it. But it actually started with a traumatic event. Like my dad got in an accident when I was 14 and a half years old.
Really?
Worked in San Joaquin at an oil company, and he got burned. 40% of his body, third degree burns. The way I coped with that was I found fitness. I started by running. I think I was a little overweight. I was probably coming out of 8th grade, going to be a freshman.
No way.
Lost about 25 pounds just running 2-3 miles a day. And I've always been a skinny kid my whole life. I have a 6-year-old son, probably looks just like me, you know, real thin. And I decided I wanted to just put some muscle on. And I saw these Muscle and Fitness magazine with Food Max one day. Asked my parents if I could have it. They bought it for me. I read through it like 20 times.
Really?
No idea what I was doing, but I bought some 10-pound dumbbells along with the 5-pound dumbbells my dad had for his therapy because he came home and had to like stretch out some parts of like the body. And that's what got me into it. Like I said, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just knew I wanted to get bigger.
That's crazy because I never would have thought that you were a skinny guy.
Yeah.
Because I've never known you to be a skinny guy.
119 pounds is what I weighed my freshman year in high school.
Freshman year.
Yeah.
So okay, let me see. The person you were in high school then. After a certain while, were you getting into sports, or in high school you were just training and you weren't really were you an athlete?
Yeah, so I turned down so many opportunities to play sports because of my passion for bodybuilding. Like I literally did not want to do anything except lift weights and eat and get bigger.
That's crazy.
And partly it was because I knew I was a hard gainer. I was always naturally thinner. And me doing sports would have probably put a big damper in my bodybuilding attempts. I would probably not been able to gain so much.
See, because me in high school, I would have never. I mean, I did some sports. I did wrestling, but I would have never been as passionate for something like. I mean, I always wanted to be I want to get some muscle, attract some girls and stuff. But not I didn't. It wasn't a serious thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like if we can do it, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not like a.
Yeah, that's great. So after high school, then you continued on it?
Yeah, so I actually got 4 years makes a difference in high school because I went from literally 119 pounds my freshman year to I think I weighed 204 my senior year.
That's 70, 80 pounds?
Like 80 pounds that I put on. But yeah, I continued. And so I said I've been doing it for 16 years, but I've had some ups and downs, and not necessarily with my passion or discipline for it, but just circumstances that took me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Marine Corps right after high school. So boot camp, there ain't no weights. I lost, and like I said, naturally skinny. It takes a lot for me to keep the mass I put on. I went into boot camp. I did cut down a little bit, about 180 pounds, came out 154.
That's 30
so
pounds,
I took
35 pounds.
Another 30 pounds off of what I had already thought was my cut.
Dang, that's crazy.
So in my head, I'm pretty, I was stoked about being a Marine and graduating, but I was like, man, I just lost 50 pounds from my all-time.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Of course, it's always.
I've never told you that, so thank you for your service.
Always said it's been a pleasure.
But that's crazy, dude. So you're 150, and how old were you getting out?
19.
So you went into the Marines 19.
So I went in 18 years old,
18.
and then I got out of boot camp. I was 19. So it was 3 months. So I crossed my 19th birthday in boot camp, basically.
And you went where were you stationed?
I was stationed in 29 Palms after I got done with infantry training, and then went straight to Afghanistan about 5 months after getting to the fleet.
Wow.
Which was another damper on the weight.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah. Just nothing but like what, dirt? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Heat.
Yeah, we had some sandbags and stuff we tried to like put together to make weights.
It's like you're oh, sorry, go.
No, I'm sorry. We had like a 50-pound dumbbell that we all shared.
Oh, that's cool. Just like you're like in a constant sauna though, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we went during the cold time, but then it heated up pretty good in
That's
April.
crazy. So then after the military.
After the military is finally when I got to kind of hit it hard. After I got out of the military is when I got back, and about, like I said, kept the passion, did whatever I could to maintain whatever I could, but when I got out is when I was really on a mission. Like, I gotta put my muscle back on. It's crazy that for a few years I was very regimented as far as eating, and I thought like that was what's gonna do it for me. But yeah, I put on quite a bit of weight. I think it's probably around the time we met, it was already a couple of years, but me back into my journey. Heaviest I got was 217 doing powerlifting.
Yeah.
But that's what I ended up doing when I got back. Partly because I torn my pec while I was in the military.
Oh, wow.
And aesthetically, I just like was so thrown off of the bodybuilding. I was like, I'll never be a good bodybuilder because I have a torn muscle. I won't be able to do a show. Won't be able to do anything like that. It just really messed with my head. And that was a tough time. And I think I had borderline depression going on because of. I think anyone that gets into bodybuilding can agree that there's a certain level of body dysmorphia that you never get rid of.
That's what I hear. Because I watch, like, I'll see, like, the guys, like, flexing, like, Mr. Olympia, like, Ronnie Coleman versus, what's that white guy?
Jay Cutler.
Yeah. And they're, like, boom, like, big old tanks.
Yeah.
You always hear it. Like, you hear it, like, that they always have, they never think they look good or whatever.
Yeah.
That's crazy to even think. Like, say, dude, you look like, they look like, you know, like the Greek statues.
These guys look amazing. Yeah, and then they'll tell you, oh no, my back's not big enough, or my legs
That's
aren't
so
defined.
crazy, man. But yeah, it's the body dysmorphia. What is it? The
body dysmorphia. Yeah, and I'll proudly admit that that's still going on. Even to this day, I think it's one thing that keeps me motivated to always kind of stay on my toes and like continue to push and push and push. But I think you have to find that balance because it can become very unhealthy and it can become very obsessive. You know what I mean? I think those times in the last few years where I'd look at myself and have people at the gym just tell me, "Oh man, you look great. Like I wish, if I could just get to like where you're at, I'd be happy." And then me look at myself in the mirror and be like, "Man, you look like trash."
No way.
Yeah, and multiple times, man. And me just kind of really get down into my feelings and I don't know. I guess that's what you would call distraught because really because I mean, you have all these two people around you affirming what you are trying to work towards, and you telling yourself that it's like the complete opposite.
What do you think that is? Like, do you think it's connected to when you were a child and you were skinny, and do you think that's like translated to when you're an adult? Is that what do you think it is? Like, I'm not good enough. It's like maybe.
Now looking back at it, I really do because I mean my nickname when I was a kid from my mom and my aunt, which were the people that I was pretty much closest to when I was a child, they would call me Flaco. Which
Flaco?
Yeah, so in Spanish,
it's skinny.
It's skinny. It's skinny, that's what they would call me.
That's crazy.
Because I was always the thin one. My cousins were always a little bit thicker, a little more muscled, and I was Flaco.
That's crazy how like something like from your childhood could stick with you.
It's
So what do you think it is that you like when you say you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see? Like, is it like you think you're not big enough?
Most of the time, that's what it is. I still see that skinny kid in the mirror.
Wow.
I'll look at myself and I feel, in relation to where I'm at right now, I feel like I'm 130 pounds still, 140 pounds. I'll step on the scale. The scale says 195, 196. I look in the mirror and I see 130, 140. I look at pictures. Pictures are one of the most damaging things for me.
Really?
Because I look at a picture and I really think it's just through my eyes. I'm like, man, I look so skinny. First thing I'll think.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to think. So okay, so you go to your first competition then, right? Did you feel like at that moment, your bodybuilder competition? Did you feel at that moment like, no, I'm solid. I'm gonna do good, or does it affect your confidence in the posing, or what is that? Like, are you fake? Do you have like fake confidence in the sense of like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm telling myself I'm confident, but you're not. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think my first bodybuilding. So I love the sport of bodybuilding. I love what it can do for somebody. I love the holes it can pull them out of. I love the determination it takes, the discipline that it takes to do it. Competing can be damaging, I think. And I'm just saying that from maybe my personal experience. I think if you're an elite athlete and you're really made for the sport, which I'm not a mass monster. You know, I'm never going to be 280 pounds solid mass. But for a lot of people, it can be damaging because it's like very subjective. You know, it's you literally putting yourself out there for everyone to judge, and you're always your biggest critic. Yeah, and you're always your biggest critic.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
I remember going into competition very confident, and I would say it was true confidence, and getting there and seeing the other 5% of the population that looks like that at that point in their lives, and just thinking like, I don't look good. Because you have all these amazing athletes around you that look amazing. And they're probably thinking the same thing of you, you know, like that you look amazing as well. But since we're our biggest critics, you start to doubt everything you've done. I don't know if that could be a personal experience, but from a few people I've talked to, it's hard because you go, and yeah, maybe you look great compared to 90% of the population, but now you got the other 10% standing up here with you. And it's like basically putting yourself up on Instagram against all these, you know, elite athletes that you see.
Yeah.
And now you're comparing yourself to, not just in your head, but literally now on a stage.
No, that's crazy, dude. Because like when I see you, right, I don't think skinny. I think when I see you, dude, like seriously, like sometimes I'll see you, I'm like, I don't really even want to say hi to him. Only like I'll say what's up, but I don't really want to like disturb you because I'm like, okay, he's not here to mess around. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, he's here to like get work done. Like that's what it looks like. You know, there's other people who go to the gym and they're there to work out, but they'll chat. You know. And like when I see you, like I don't know. Sometimes you got this face on you where it's like, nah, he don't want to be talked to. I'm like, I'll say what's up, but I don't want to bug him. If that makes sense, because I'm like, you're like in in a mode of like, I just want to get in and get out kind of thing. Do you think like it? Is that true? Like, is that true in a sense? Like, is working out for you more like I just want to be here and be gone?
And it's very much like I'm there to do work. It's not really a social event for me. I know it can be for some people, and it's a healthy part of it for a lot of people. It's like, hey, we're here. I'm gonna get my work done, but it's also my time to like talk to people, socialize. I have other spaces for that. Luckily, you know that God has kind of like made for me. And I would say back maybe a few years ago, I was very much just like, don't talk to me, you know, like shut up and train type of thing. And that can be very inspiring and it pumps you up. But at the end of the day, despite the face I have on the gym, I'm always happy to talk to people. I'll take 2-3 minutes out of my workout to talk to someone. Because what I'll do is just pour all that intensity back into, you know, the next set.
Oh, wow. See, because like, and I'm only saying that because like I see your physique and then like I see you working out, I'm like, I don't want to play him, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't, that's just me though.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because sometimes I am crunched for time, you know, like, and I got like an hour, 15 minutes and I'm like, okay, I got to get like all this work done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, most of the time I'm always happy to talk to people. That's when people, like, if anyone gets to know me, they know I'm a people person and I can talk for days. I mean, we stood here talking for like 15 minutes before we got started.
Yeah, I know. So tell me, okay, so your first bodybuilding competition, how did that go?
So first bodybuilding competition went really, it was an eye-opener for me. And I went to a big one. I went to San Jose, which I didn't know was one of the biggest competitions in California. But I was just like, you know, I need to get my feet wet before I do the Fresno one. So I went to San Jose. I think there was a lineup of like 16 of us in the middleweight class. I didn't even get first call-outs. I got second call-outs, and I was like 6th place out of like 16 guys. We're not terrible, you know, not terrible.
Sounds pretty good for your first one.
But I've always just had that drive and that like, if I play to win type of mentality. So me, super disappointed, beating myself up. There was some stuff that was outside of my control that kind of went sideways, like my tan. I definitely wasn't dark enough on that first one. My coach even told me, he's like, dude, what'd you do? Like, you should have went and got another spray. Because I got washed out under the lights. But it was an eye-opener as far as like the work that I needed to do to be at that level. Because it is a different level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one thing to be big, strong guy at your local gym and then to go to the rest of the state, you know, or sometimes surrounding states and compete around some of the best guys around the area. So it was an eye-opener for me. But I remember thinking like, okay, well, now I know what I need to work on and I'm going to get better into the next one.
So why is it that you guys have to tan so much? Is it because you have to show like definition? The darker you are, the more defined you look.
Exactly, and then because the lights are just so bright on stage, you will literally get washed out. It's kind of like when you step into the sun, and like maybe you were able to see cuts and like under some light, and all of a sudden like the sun's just so bright, you look just like pasty. Have you ever taken pictures of the beach?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I just look like
Like the
glob.
exposure of you, yeah, you just look like shiny kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then, okay, let me ask you this then. I've always been curious about this. Do black competitors, do they have to get sprayed as much as you, or are they like just naturally because they're darker?
So it really depends on the competitor. I've been backstage with a couple, and some prefer not to get so tan because of just it makes a mess. It makes a mess.
Yeah.
Clothes, sheets, everything. But the guys that been there doing it for a long time know that they still need that tan. It still helps.
Wow.
What mainly it helps with is that it's going to fill in those crevices. So if you were to flex and there's just a slight little shadow, what happens is it pulls together the skin in that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's like tan there too, it looks even darker. That line looks even darker.
Oh.
Kind of like your skin here, it'll look darker if you put it together.
Yeah.
Same concept. So having just that pigment on you helps pull together those lines and really, really accentuate those cuts.
So how much before a competition do you have to do that?
So you tan day before, usually in the evening, and then morning of you'll get another coat.
Is it
Go
expensive?
darker.
Is it expensive?
I think the tans cost about $100. Yeah, if
So
you get it there
200.
done with them.
So it's 200.
No, that time will cover your before and the one the morning of.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's like tanning facilities based, just for bodybuilding.
So you have the option of either you can get your tan done wherever you want, or you can have them do it there. But they have professionals on site that do it. Usually the most convenient way is that way. But you can find someone else that does your tan as well.
And how many competitions have you done?
I have done 3 bodybuilding competitions.
3 so far.
Yeah.
And you placed 6th the first one.
6th the first one. The one I did after that was the SenCal Championships in Fresno. I got first in novice. I won my novice overall, and then I got second as a middleweight. So that was a pretty good day for me.
That's cool.
And this last one I just did not place nearly as high as I wanted to. I think I got 5th. I think there was only like 7 of us.
When was that?
And I was pretty disappointed. In April.
Aren't you going to one? I think I seen like on your stories that you're prepping for something.
So the plan is to do next April. So I'm basically taking enough time
you're
to
prepping
bulk.
right now?
Yeah, so I'm going to start probably my cut soon, probably in a couple weeks, so I can just go right steady into it. Because I know there's going to be some just curveballs thrown in, holidays. Want to be able to enjoy those with the family.
Yeah.
So the diet won't be as strict. Just probably take some diet breaks in between. But
So you have to be like super dedicated. Like it's not like you got to be like it sounds to me, right? Like you got to be like I'm like obsessively dedicated to it, kind of in a way.
it really does take that, especially to get started. And eventually it does turn into a lifestyle where like now I can eyeball 5-6 ounces of meat and 180 grams of rice.
Yeah.
Like literally almost to the T. Like I'll sometimes I joke with my wife. I'll be like, check this out, and I'll put it on a scale.
Cool, though.
It'll be within 10 grams. And it gets a lot easier after doing it for years. But it's always that at the top of my mind. Besides, obviously like family work, school work, and stuff like that, is like my food. How many grams of protein have I got today? Did I get enough calories in today? If I'm doing a cut, it's not too big of a deal. But did I get my protein in?
That's crazy.
And it's always something that's kind of just running through my head. Did I miss a meal today? Like I ate just before I came because I was like, I don't want to eat too late, but I need to get my calories in.
So is prepping and like eating like that kind of like food? I know I'm pretty sure you have to eat like leaner food and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that difficult? Do you like for me, right? Like I love. This is probably why I'm not gonna be in shape. Like it's like you, right? I love the BK spicy crispy royal chicken sandwich. It's so good. It's not beef, right? It's chicken. I like what I tell myself is it's a little leaner.
Yeah. You're still getting some protein, right?
Yeah. So you know what I mean? But like that never comes like to you when you're like in that mode. Like you're never like I just want like a burger.
So yes, especially when I'm deep in maybe 2 months into like a hard diet where I'm like prepping for a show, definitely everything looks good. Sausage muffin looks amazing. And it is tough. So it really is a mental thing, like where you just have to really fight. And what you always have to tell yourself is basically, I'm sacrificing what I want now for what I want more than anything, really. You know what I mean?
So, okay, you have a family. Does it change their lifestyle when you're in meal prep mode? Like, does it affect them? Like, I don't want certain foods in the house because then I'm going to be tempted. Like, I don't want to be tempted. So you can't have, sorry kids, you can't have snacks. Get that stuff out of here kind of thing. Or, I don't, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I would love to say that it doesn't affect it at all. But I think the first prep it did, definitely.
Uh-huh.
My son was a lot younger, so it wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he likes chicken, rice, and broccoli now. But I would say now I've found a certain level of discipline where for my wife, it definitely affects her because she was very supportive. So she won't eat stuff in front of me if she knows I can't have it. But the tough thing was having a kid because when all they want to eat is fries and chicken nuggets, or pizza and stuff like that, it does get tough. But so for my wife, I would say now it affects her still, regardless of whether I say, hey, you do your thing, I'm the one dieting, don't worry about it. It affects her. My son, he does what he wants. He's 6 years old.
That's cool, man. See, so maybe look, I'm not as committed as you, right? But like sometimes I'll tell my wife, I don't know if this is an excuse I tell myself on why I don't eat healthier, but like I'll tell her like, hey, I can't have junk in the house, and then she'll be like, I'm not on a diet. Why am I gonna not have junk at the house? Like, control yourself. She tell me, and like, it makes sense, right? But I still think like, what do you think about that? What's the best course of action? What do you think? Give me some advice.
I think you got to know yourself for sure. If you know you can't have it, it's just better not to. There's little tricks you can do. They say to put it in inaccessible places where it'll make you lazier to get it. So like, say you put it like at the very top of like the cupboard where if she wants it, she's gonna have to climb a little ladder to get it. If you want it, you're gonna have to climb a little ladder to get it. So it's like, do I really want that? Like, do I really want to get off the couch, grab that right now? But it really comes down. It's kind of like a person-to-person thing. Like, sometimes it's literally just better not to have it. Like, I cannot have baked hot Cheetos in the house because I will eat them, prep or not.
Yeah.
Don't have them in the house when when I'm on a prep. Because even if I tell myself I'll have 5, I'll still pick those 5, and I might go over my calories with it. So
it's that strict. 5 Cheetos you'll go over your calories.
It's possible, you know what I mean? Because especially the body adapts deeper in a cut to where literally every movement you make is burning some type of fuel. So your body is very, very smart. It's almost like you're battling your body when you're doing a diet because to conserve calories, you'll start moving less. If it literally just means you moving your fingers less or just maybe not kicking out your leg as often as you do when you're sitting here,
are you serious?
Your body will adapt. Yeah, but even body temperature will regulate. When I'm deep in a cut, I get cold very easily. Like right now, I'm perfect temperature. If I were really lean, I'd probably be shivering right now because my body's trying to conserve energy, takes it away from my thermogenesis.
That's so crazy to even think about.
It's nuts. So you can take calories away and then you don't lose weight. You're like, what happened? Well, your body just learned how to conserve 150 more calories a day.
That's wild. So, okay, you only eat, so do you eat a lot of carbs? Or do you eat mostly like protein?
So this is going to be individualistic to each person. At the end of the day, and there's controversy with this, probably get some pushback. Calories in, calories out. Now, yes, you can't just eat 3,000 calories of sugar and expect to gain muscle, or lose fat. But as long as you're in a calorie deficit when you're trying to cut, you're good. How you fill those calories is completely up to you. Obviously, you want to have adequate protein to be able to sustain your muscle. But how you distribute those amongst fat and carbs is very individualistic. You want to have a certain amount of fat for good digestive function and for hormones. But you could probably get away with 70 grams of fat a day. And that means the rest could be carbs. So you could technically probably cut like on 260, 300 carbs a day.
You're a nutrition guy. What do you think of the carnivore diet?
Honestly, I like my carbs. So I'm very biased. You know what I mean? For me, I think they give you good energy, especially for training.
Yeah.
Hard weightlifting, you're going to need some glucose, man. And your body can the carnivore diet, super high in protein. Your body can't use all that protein. What it will do is turn some into carbs anyway. It'll turn it into sugar in your body.
Oh, wow.
The process is called gluconeogenesis. Very hard for your body to do. it's a kind of a hard, like it's putting a strain on your body to do that.
Yeah.
When instead you could just give it some simple carbohydrates or some complex carbs and then have it just turn into glucose in your body, which is a lot easier process than having to convert protein into sugar.
Yeah.
But your body can't do it, and that's what it's going to do with a lot of that protein anyway.
See, because I went on the carnivore diet for like a week. I don't even think I ate the right meat. Like I was just like saying that I'm not gonna eat carbs. I lost like 10 pounds. But I didn't crap for a whole week. I don't know. I was like, dude, there's something wrong. I'm not eating something. But like, I was inspired by Liver King. Yeah, boy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Do you watch him?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've been watching him recently, man. He makes. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm like now I'm starting to think like liver is king, man. Like, I want to eat some liver, but like people, you know, there's controversy. There's people who say that's not even like you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
I just with my kind of like business approach to the Transform Your Temple, it's all about, if you ever take one of my like training courses or anything, my program letter has been adjusted to talk about how your body is basically your temple and we want to have balance. And I'm a very firm believer in balancing body, spirit, and mind. Our mental health is crucial. None of this matters if we're torn up in here.
Yeah.
And the same thing with your spirit, you know, like whatever you want to believe in. But we are made of something more, I believe, than just flesh, blood, and a brain. There's got to be balance. And I think that goes into every aspect of life, even your diet, you know.
Yeah.
God made carbs.
Yeah, God made carbs. Do you get that the body is your temple, like, because it's called Transform Your Temple, right?
Yeah.
TYT. Is that because, you know, in the Bible it talks about like how the body is the temple?
Yeah.
Is that where you got the name from?
And taking care of your temple, yeah, that's where it comes from. And I'm not pushy, especially with clients and stuff, about like, you know, pushing my beliefs on anyone, but I do encourage people to find a bigger sense of being and, you know, a power. Obviously, I push for knowing Jesus, but I think acknowledging that we're more than just flesh and blood is important because
No, yeah, but the message is super important.
yeah, it gives you more purpose to take care of your body. You know what I mean? If we're really just a body here on earth to die, then why even take care of it? Just abuse it, have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then like today, I mean, like if you go on internet now, you know, and all the social media, you see, I think it can mess with like in the aspect of body, you know, what you say, body, mind, spirit.
Yeah.
The mind thing. Do you think, you know, people being raised today with social media, do you think that seeing that can give them a form of like body dysmorphia, where they see like a body that's like so like sometimes unattainable unless you take certain supplements, you know, and they're like, how come I don't look like that? Do you think like how, if you do believe that it does play a factor in our younger generation, how much of a factor do you think it plays?
Yeah, I think it plays a massive factor, a huge. I can't even probably kind of emphasize it enough, but that it perpetuates the problem of body dysmorphia because you literally see the top 1%.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
And you're constantly comparing yourself to that. It's happened to me. I didn't really grow. I mean, I grew up when phones were coming out. I think middle school, you know, iPhone came out. So I've grown up with this in the time that it would probably affect me, but it just wasn't to the point where it is now, where there's been so many influencers developed and they do have their platforms that they're able to, you know, kind of sell their stuff off of, or their own brand. And all our young people, it's all they get fed, you know, on a constant basis. And they have this very unattainable image of basically what they should look like, or what, you know, hot is, or in, or whatever you want to call it, you know, whatever the trend is for the time. And it's just not our young men, it's our young women as well. But it's definitely created an issue because you're seeing the top 1%. And sometimes genetics play a big factor into this. You know, they chose the right parents. They might not even try that hard, you know, but they just look like that.
Yeah.
You know, they have the natty or not videos, and I've watched tons of those. And sometimes I agree. Sometimes I'm like, this probably could have been done just with some really good genetics. And it's tough to just see that day after day. And it affected me while I was doing my prep. Because I would be looking up YouTube videos on posing and stuff, and you see all these amazing physiques. Physiques that you wouldn't ever see if you didn't have access to them, you know? Yeah. Maybe you'd see one person every now and then that looked like that.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. That's something, you know, like that I think about, especially like now that I have a child, you know, like I notice it more like because I know it affected me going through high school, you know, and what was I gonna say? Nah, I just drew brain fart. I've been doing pretty good so far, so it's a fine brain fart. But yeah, that body dysmorphia thing, it's super serious. What is it? Okay. Are you since you brought up the natty thing, right? Are you natty?
So I'll be 100% transparent. The first time I did my first show, I was using probably everything you could think of.
Really?
I was very like, I want to do everything I can in my power to do the best I can. I was taking like test. I was taking trend. I took clen to cut. I took winstrol to cut. I took masteron to harden up. I took everything you could. You know what I mean? That I kind of already knew some research about. I did everything, nothing safe. Did it as safely as possible, you know? Like, not like I just started taking all this stuff without knowing anything.
Yeah.
But then I got to a point where, like, I wanted this to be a sustainable lifestyle. Like, we're talking about balance, you know? That's where my mind shifted a bit. After that first set of shows I did, those 2 shows back to back, I decided I was done. I was done playing into the narrative of this is the good way you got to look and this is what you got to take to do it. So I ended up getting off everything. Went and saw my doctor and just told him I wanted to get right. Just wanted to get back to being normal. The best me I could basically be and not have issues of having to take this and that. So I ended up getting on TRT. That's what they told me. Like, all right, well, your test levels are plummeted, so we're going to give you TRT. We'll see where you're at in 6 months. We'll assess from there. So since then, since 2018, I've been on a low dose of TRT. So I'm on 175 milligrams of test every week. That I'm prescribed by my doctor.
TRT is something you have to stay on, though, right?
Yes. So there's ways to come off, and it is a lengthy sometimes process to come off. It can take about a year to get your levels back to about normal. But I really don't mind. I mean, it basically keeps me at the high end of normal. So I think generally anywhere from 300 to 1100 nanograms per deciliter of blood is normal. I'm always at about 1,000. So it'd be like...
So you're above.
About a teenager all the time. So yeah, I'm at a high normal. You know, so 1,100 would be the very top end. I'm at 1,000.
Wow, how do you get that checked?
So I get blood work done every 6 months. Sent by my doctor to a lab, and they check my test levels. If we need to adjust my dosage, they'll adjust it. If not, they'll just keep it the same.
Because I know TRT now is very like popular with older guys.
Yeah.
You know, like I know some people who are like around 40 that are now on it. The doctors prescribed it. It's pretty common now.
Yeah.
It's like not even like a, you know, I'm pretty sure it used to be a stigma.
It used to be like a taboo, like, oh man,
Yeah.
you're on TRT. Now it's kind of like, yeah. And it's crazy. You know, I was consider myself pretty young for being on it. I was 28 when I jumped on TRT. I know some people now that are like 24 getting on TRT, and most of it's from steroid abuse when they were really young.
That's so crazy though, huh?
Yeah, and it does suck. Trust me. Like, I don't not like pricking myself twice a week, because it literally got to stab a needle in one of your muscles, either shoulder, you know, glute, something like that. And it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's optimizing also my performance, and the benefits of it outweigh like the cons for me. And that's an individual, you know, like thing that people got to live with. You know, do you want to live with having to take this stuff for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
And optimize your performance and your muscle gains and stuff, or do you want to be mid-range and maybe not have as much muscle?
Yeah, that's why I brought up the social media question too, because I know a couple people who are like they're fairly young, and I don't know if it's because of the aspiration of a body they want or because they are doing bodybuilding. I don't know what it is, right? But they've told me that they're on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some of them say it's just because they want to get bigger. To me, the way I see it, I'm not in the position that they are, but it's like my goal is to get like that. So
Yeah,
that doesn't even come into my head.
for sure.
But like, do you think that plays like you personal train? So do people come up to you and be like, "Hey man, I want to jump on this thing, man. I want to get as big as possible"? Because I'm pretty sure it happens.
Yep, it does. I just had someone ask me literally at the gym last week, "What are you taking?"
No,
He was implying what do you like? You know, what kind of juice are you
Are
on?
you natty?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing now.
And
Are you natty?
and I told him, I've been on TRT for 3 years. You know, so I've optimized muscle mass on TRT, which keeps me at a high range. Technically not natty, but if you were to get tested and it was based solely off levels, I would come up in the natty range. You know what I mean? It's not super.
Cool.
It's not super physiological,
Okay,
like if you
cool.
were on a steroid cycle. And he didn't want to believe it. But the truth is that, like, if I were taking all the stuff I was 3 years ago, with the discipline and like the new found kind of like passion I have for all this, I'd probably be about 15, 20 pounds heavier. You know, if I were actually pushing a cycle. But I'm happy with what I've been able to get and maintain, and I still get accused of juicing, which to me is a compliment. You know, if people still think I'm juicing, then awesome.
I wish people come up to me and think I'm juicing.
But yeah, I think there's a pressure to do it.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, you know, like if I think they should, and my thing is always, you know, I don't like to call myself a libertarian, but people are good to make their own decisions. They need to find their own wisdom, and they need to be comfortable with what decision they take.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be the reason someone does something, and I don't want to be the reason they don't and say they missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
But I tell them, do your own research. You know, don't go based off what any one person tells you, and optimize what you can before you make that decision.
Yeah.
And also have a bigger reason, like you said. I don't want to be like that. So like, why take it? You know, like if you're not going to jump on a bodybuilding stage or get on a powerlifting platform, and you don't need that edge.
Yeah.
Besides for your own ego, maybe, then like, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if I've ever had body dysmorphia, but it's like, I've always considered myself like skinny fat. I've never been fat, but I've never been skinny. And I've always tried working out, but maybe it's because like if I really think about it, it's not something like that is very desirable. Just because, I mean, maybe it's because like I'm married already, and it's like, I mean, maybe my goal was like, I just want to impress the opposite sex. But now that I'm married, it's like, I just want to not look bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just want to look fine. Like, I still want to look good. But I know not everybody has that mindset. I know a lot of people that, nah, man, I want to be huge. I want to be big.
Yeah.
I want to be the biggest guy in the room.
What's funny is I've kind of gotten over that mindset, believe it or not. And
really?
for as big as people, you know, think I am, like I've kind of been over that mindset for a couple years. You know, if you were to see me out eating, if I'm not dieting for a show, you'll see me at taco trucks. You'll see me at In-N-Out. You know, you'll see me at Taco Bell, the drive-thru. Getting that the cheesy double steak burrito right now. We got good stuff. But I haven't, for me, it's that balance, right? Yeah. So I've found where I've been able to maintain the physique I have and still enjoy my family, enjoy life, enjoy food, which I think is one of the biggest pleasures in life is food. And even, you know, in ancient times, man, food was what brought people together. So
Liver King says.
Yeah, there's a passion for food. So it's finding that like balance of it, like, and everyone has a different set point, you know, like if you're good with where you're at now with your body and your mental state is good in a healthy place where you're able to enjoy life, enjoy your family, enjoy other things, then awesome. That's where you should be.
Yeah. Because
if all of a sudden you're dieting all the time because you want to look a certain way and it's taking away from your quality of life and taking away from your mental like stability, it's not worth it.
Yeah. No, yeah, and then like I know for myself, right? It's like if it's not something that I'm like passionate about, I know like I could probably be strong for a good 2-3 weeks on my diet and stuff and even working out, but it comes to a point where it's like I didn't have a passion for this. So now it's kind of like I'm not even doing it because I want to do it. I did it because the idea of doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas like right now, like my focus more is on like building, like I want to build a business from the ground up, something difficult. That's why like the brand me and my brother have started from the ground up. For 2 years, you know, we're not going to see any income or whatever. We're just really going to try to grow this thing. But that's where I'm at, you know what I mean? Like my goal isn't to be like freaking, but I want to be in good shape. Don't get me wrong. Like I still put in time. Like the gym's closed right now, but I work out here at home. I try to, you know, be in decent shape. Yeah. But I guess my goal isn't there. But you like how you said, like I realized for myself that that's not like a passion of mine or like even a thing for like my ego or something I have to prove. Yeah. You know, I mean, I would like to. I mean, looking at you, you know, right? Like, you can be an intimidating guy. I try not to be intimidated, but
it happens.
it happens. You know what I mean?
It's funny because people if you get to know me, like, I'm not intimidating at all, but I definitely get where the sense of, like, the reason I think is because a lot of people do use it as an intimidation factor, you know, like,
Oh, yeah.
they want to get big and strong just so they can think like the biggest, baddest in the room. And I think I fell into that category at one point, especially when I'd probably
really?
gotten out of the military, you know, just thinking, oh man, big and bad. Maybe lasted a couple years, but I've always had a soft heart, man, for people. I just love people in general. So sometimes, to me, it's funny, and I try not to be critical when I see other guys that might feel threatened because, oh, like, I thought they were the big guy, and they see someone else maybe that's buff too, right?
Yeah.
And they're like trying to like assert dominance, or I don't know what it is, you know. But there's an insecurity there. I think it stems from an insecurity. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just me. If you think I look like crap, cool. If you think I look good, awesome. You know what I mean? And to me, it's more of like, I do what makes me happy, and this is the outcome of it. You know, like,
Yeah.
I love lifting the weights. I love going hard. I love putting the intensity in and doing the whole food thing. Keeps me driven, focused, and the result is the physique I have.
Yeah.
But it's not something that defines me, and I
Yeah.
think that's what's important, is that it not be your defining factor.
Well, have you ever had anybody go up to you and be like, dude, you look like crap?
No, but I recently encountered someone that behind my back said some things, and a friend told me, and it got to me. You know what I mean? Because it just stems up some of my insecurities. Like, I was at a gym. They're like, "Oh man, like, legs are skinny and like this and that," and then I started looking at myself like, "Oh man, you know, like, I just need to work out my legs and this and that." And I'm like, you know what? Why am I letting this get to me? Like, I do this because it makes me happy. And I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of catch myself.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's where being in a good spot mentally is important. That's why I think what you guys are doing with the whole Dstraught thing, it's important.
Yeah.
Bringing that awareness to someone's mental state and like what you do in it, that's more defining than any physique. You know what I mean? Those are the defining times in your lives. Yeah. Those are the defining like factors of what your character is.
Yeah, because it's like, I feel, I've already said this a couple times, but I feel like people are more in like a victim mentality, right? Where, you know, something goes wrong and it's super devastating for them, right? And I can understand that and I can relate to it, but I've been really trying to focus my mind onto like those difficult things. It's like, look, this is just part of the process of wherever I'm going to go. So wherever I'm going to go, whoever I'm going to be, this is just going to be part of who I'm going to be. Like, I'm either going to learn from it or I can stay here and I could just keep crying about it. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of like the message where it's like, just work on yourself. As long as you keep working on yourself, you're going to be fine. You know what I mean? You're going to be fine. You're never going to get rid of the hard times because hard times will always be there in different forms.
Yeah.
But if you make yourself stronger and you are willing to learn and adapt in the ways you need to, you'll be fine. You're going to be fine.
That's true. And our stories are important. I think being able to tell our stories, be heard, kind of like right now, you know, like it gives someone that time and space to be able to like express what their story is. It's important because I think it's a very essential human need to be heard. Yeah. You know what I mean? And being able to actually tell those stories, those defining moments, and why are you the Kevin you are? You know what I mean? Today. Because someone might see you in 5 years and think, wow, like they're so lucky. You know, it was easy. Well, he might have had things handed to him. Yeah. Not knowing the trouble, or like you said, is the couple years of just like not seeing any return on investment and them thinking it was just so easy. Because there's a story behind everything. You know, and some people might, you know, what do they say, born on third base? It happens easy for them, born into money, whatever. But there's a lot of people out there that they had to make their way, you know, and we get to see the fruits of their labor now, but we don't know their story. Exactly.
That's why I feel it's very important too to document. Now I feel this way, right? I was listening to some guy talk about it, but document your because this can benefit in multiple ways. It can benefit in like I've told people who on this is that right now I can talk a really good game, right? Like I can say certain stuff and whatever, and I sound like I know what I'm talking about. But where's the proof of concept, right? Where have I proven it? And I have it, really. And I know myself in the way that, like, I have, just like the gym, I have, I've quit. after a certain while. And I've known just the way I was raised, there was no pressure to really go through with anything.
Mm.
It was more like, hey, just don't have an F.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally like, and I'm not talking bad about my parents, mom and dad. I love you guys if you see this, but it's like there was no pressure to excel.
Mm-hmm.
There was only pressure to just get by and just don't have a D or an F. That's it. So like with that being my the way I was raised. Now looking back and I see myself when I think about it, like, okay, I'm quitting certain things, or like I have things. I'll jump one thing to another. Like I can look back and see, like, from when I was a kid, that maybe that's what translated to now that I'm an adult, where it's like now this is why, because when you're a kid, the habits that you built. So right now it's like me documenting this is like I'm telling people, but now it's like time for me. It's like holding me accountable too, where it's like now I got to do it, because now if I don't do it, people are gonna just say I'm full of crap. And it's hard to put yourself out there and stuff, and then like people are gonna judge you.
Yeah.
No matter what, like people will say that I suck at podcasting, or this podcast sucks.
Yeah.
But like I've been really trying to form a mind like, who gives a crap? You know what I mean? I'm gonna do it anyways.
Hey, do it, fail. Like I said, me doing the shop right now, I honestly do. I feel like a failure. It's been a year, literally 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Open, closed right now. Obviously, the hopes is we're gonna be able to open up pretty soon. But that sense of failure, or like, oh man, like I said, I was gonna do this, and like look where it went. But yeah, at the end of the day, do you, man? Like, who cares? Like, and you're right though. Like, speaking it out makes it more real, and it can make it hurt later on more too.
Yeah.
But it holds you accountable.
Yeah, accountable.
That's why I keep saying, we're gonna open again.
Yeah,
we're gonna open up again. Like, as soon as we get that spot, like, we're gonna open up again. So God willing, that happens. But definitely understand that, because I remember doing these bodybuilding competitions, and it never became real until I told someone, hey, I'm gonna do this competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then it's like, I don't want to be that guy that like, hey, what happened? Like, I thought you were gonna do this competition.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, all right,
it's hard to put yourself out there.
It's happening now.
Yep, that's cool, man. Yeah, it's the same thing that happened with Garcia though, right? Didn't he get kicked out of his spot?
Yeah.
And then, like, not even a while. He was only there for, like, I think less than a year.
Yeah.
Right?
It wasn't too long.
Or was it a little?
It was a couple years. That first spot by the bank.
Yeah, right next to the bank. Well, it's the same story, dude. You got it, man.
Yeah.
Come on, TYT.
TYT, transform your temple, man, and mind, body, spirit.
That's cool, man. Well, how much time we got on here? Let me check. I always forget it. We got 50 minutes. We go a little long. We'll hit 10 minutes.
All right.
It's because it's late. We always film late. I always have to let them know, because the hustle.
Yeah. Hey, the mind is in a different place late, man.
Oh, yeah, you know what I mean?
After a full day's
Like,
activities.
Even when I told you, like, oh, man, I feel bad because I said 9, and then one of the people who was going to be here with us, he's like, no, I can't do it till 10.
No, okay.
I'm like, okay, well, now I got to push back to 10, and then I don't know your schedule. I don't want to do it late.
I'm pretty flexible.
That's good. That's good to know. That's good to know, because when you're a personal trainer, everybody's going to know that you're available.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty flexible. My mornings right now are taken up. I've got clients from basically 6:30 to 10. And then my afternoons are pretty open, and then I got a couple evening clients a couple days a week. But most of my time was getting taken up because of the shop. With the shop being shut down right now, I'll be able to take on some more clients. And then hopefully even when we open up, though, I'll be able to get some help that'll be more accessible, just because we'll be right there, right in the vicinity of the gyms. So
yeah, that's going to be cool. So you personal train.
Yeah.
Right? How do you like that?
Personal training.
How'd you get into it?
So I got into it literally because, I remember in high school I had a couple people who were like, oh, just train me. And, I had an idea of what I was doing. And I think a lot of my knowledge came from the fact that I was willing to invest in myself early. And that's what I always tell people. I'm not trying to sell things to people right now. I'm just saying. But when you do pay someone to help you, it's an investment in yourself. Yeah. I was 16. I scavenged up the money, man. I paid my personal trainer. I think at the time, back then, it was like $15 an hour he was charging me.
Wow.
Wages probably like $8 an hour back then. But I bought 10 sessions with personal trainer, and he taught me a ton of stuff. I just soaked in everything I could. But I was willing to make that investment, learned a lot, and then I just continued to learn, and I still continue to learn. Like, I watch all types of podcasts on new training techniques, new studies that are coming out. So I'm always continuing to learn. But after that, I had some buddies that saw that I had put on like 20 pounds of muscle, and they were like, hey, train me, So then I got a kind of group of friends that started training with me, and I would teach them everything I knew. During my senior year, I had a couple people that I helped out as well that would come with me to the gym, and then I would literally just kind of train them, help them, and then do my own workout. And then I didn't really get into the personal training as far as like charging money until I had already a few years of training under my belt. I learned a lot more, not only in bodybuilding, but now in like biomechanics and powerlifting, which helped a ton. I would have never torn my pec if I would have known a lot of what I did when I started powerlifting.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I wish, I would have just had that wealth of knowledge then. But it started at Iron Fit. They gave me a shot to go ahead and start personal training there, and I built up a clientele. And then, I really stopped believing in myself. And I wasn't organized enough at the time,
you
too.
stopped believing in yourself in Iron Fit?
I did. So I decided, I need to get a job. I just need to just hang this up, need to get a job. So I went and worked somewhere for a couple of years. Actually was doing really well there, but this is just another added little thing. Felt a call to some type of ministry in a bigger sense. So right now I'm a seminary student. But that kind of led the path for me to come back and having a more open schedule and more time for school. So started personal training again, quit my job, opened up the shop. But it's been going well now. I shifted more not only into in-person, but to online training as well for people that already kind of have a knowledge base of how to work out and don't really need the one-on-one, hey, me and you, face-to-face. But I love it. I love it. It's a lot goes into it, a lot more than what you just see. Sometimes you see a trainer and look like you're just counting reps and watching somebody.
Yeah, I get it.
Very easy to do, but to guide someone and actually have them get like progress and progressive overload and just learn some of the basics of what they're doing, it's a lot harder. I have a few clients right now that are kind of struggling with the eating aspect of it. How to count calories, how to count macros, how to stay on track. But to me, it's enjoyable because I get to teach a lifestyle.
No, that's cool, man. So, okay, you said you work. Right now, you just have your shop. Well, you had your shop and you just train?
Yep.
That's all you're doing right now?
That's all I'm doing right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I get to do what I love. Yeah, I'm getting to do what I love. That, and I'm learning, like I said, I'm going to seminary, so learning theology. Right now I'm taking a couple classes. And it's all about leading and loving people, man. So
that's
kind of
cool,
in line still with what I love to do.
Okay, then what is with everything, right? There's always something where it's like, right? With everything. What is the hardest part about personal training? What to you?
So, hardest part for me is
it the client? It's like, one of those clients? You could be honest here, man.
I think it's the concept of wanting it more than my client does. I see the potential. I see what they can do. Like, man, you can do the goal you've set. Like, you've got this.
Yeah.
If you just do what I said. Like, just like follow the plan. Follow the plan.
I guess I'm one of those clients.
Kevin falls into one of those clients.
I was only in it for like and then there would be days where, oh man, I think that's why it is very valuable to have somebody there to hold you accountable. Like if somebody, like you have to meet somebody at 6 a.m., like, and you're paying them, it's kind of like, now you got to be there at 6 a.m. because somebody's waiting for you.
Yeah.
Whereas like when I was doing it by myself, I would go and I'd be consistent for like a week, but then like, you know what I mean? All I got is excuses. There's no real reason. I could do it. I could make time for it, but I just had an excuse. And my excuse was, it's too early. For me.
Yeah.
But man, I bet. Like you wanting it more than your client. Like you're way more passionate and you know where they can go. And it's like, but they don't take action.
That's the hardest thing. And honestly, sometimes, you said I could be honest, so.
Yeah, be honest, man.
Putting the workouts together, because sometimes people think there's something very special about it. Like, these are the specific exercises that are going to get me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it really comes down to, I usually I choose exercises for the person that I think are going to work better. I always tell them they can make switches. But putting that together for me sometimes can be a little frustrating because I wish I could just like slap the person and tell them, you know what, you can do almost anything. Just do it with intensity. You know what I mean? Especially for people that are just wanting to grow out of like, if you already kind of look like a bodybuilder, yes, you have to be very specific as far as like, okay, these specific movements go this hard.
Yeah.
But if you're just someone that really just wants to improve their physique, you could do almost anything with a right amount of intensity and you will grow. You will get better.
Maybe I fall in that category too, man. Because once I stopped, I told you, like, hey, I'm kind of on a budget. I got to stop. And that was true. I was strict. But not that I didn't like your workouts, right? But when I went back to just doing regular squats, I was so surprised by how much I could lift. Because I didn't do squats because you had me doing front squats. You had me doing front squats and you had me doing another one. I forget what it is, but I remember I was only doing like a plate in 25s. I wasn't doing much because of the reps I had to do. And I didn't think that they were bad workouts, but like I guess in my head, it'd be more like, oh, I think there's something more special or something like that, right? And then I go and I start doing squats again. Yo, I'm able to squat 3 plates like for reps, and I was like, what? I was like, I did not think, because I was telling my brothers, because my brother Mark was, he was doing Brian's program, and so like I always subconsciously wanted to keep up with my little bro, because he's my little bro.
Yeah.
I want my little bro to be stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then like I got on the squat thing to like just see where I'm at, and I was so surprised. Like I guess me thinking like it's not the workout that I thought I needed, but like it was helping me so much and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was just doing it, but yeah, that's true, man. Like I guess I fall in that category too. Where it's like, dude, just do it. You know what I mean?
But that's a big thing. And like one thing, and maybe this will hold me accountable saying it on here. I want to start a YouTube channel, just literally information for people.
Yeah.
Where it's just different topics, and it'll be training intensity, diet on another, macros on another. People getting started and thinking they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people start working out, and this is one thing. If I give anyone any advice, get help after about a year. Because I said you could do anything with a lot of intensity and get results. Same thing as if anyone's new to lifting, you could do almost anything and your body was going to respond. But after a certain amount of time, it stops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people think, oh, well, I did all this on my own, so I don't need any help. But that only gets you so far before you really do need some more guidance. You know what I mean? But
I know some people who fall in that category.
yeah, it's like, because what you do is you start lifting and you're like, oh, I'm getting results. Well, I can do this. This is easy. And then they stay there for years because they never got any more help.
Yeah.
And it's like you could have kept that momentum going, but it just took a little more knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know people who fall in that category for sure, where they're like, they just think that, man, I don't need nobody.
Yeah, I did this,
I got this thing, I look, with no help.
But then it stays there. I've seen it, especially going to the gym for so many years. I remember seeing people I used to think were like, had good physiques, and then looking, and they've made no improvements in the last 10 years. And like, what happened? Well, they probably got to that point naturally, or on their own, just power, their own knowledge, never sought any more help, and that's where they stayed.
Man, I fall in that category too. You want to know why? One time I saw you at GB3, and this was when I was cutting. Like, I just wanted to be very lean, but I had a pretty good mass. And then you came up to me, man. I remember I felt so proud. Because you came up to me and you're like, dude, you're looking really good. And you're like, are you bulking? And I was like, no, man, I'm just trying to like look very lean, but like, and show my money. You're like, I was like, yeah, that's what I figured. You told me something like that, and you're like, I figured. He's like, people don't understand that the leaner you are, the bigger you look.
Yep.
You told me that, and I remember, and then you're like, oh, good seeing you, bro. And I remember, like, in my head, I was like, I'm the mother man, you know what I mean? I'm the biggest guy here.
Yeah.
My testosterone probably went up like a couple hundred, but then I never had a personal trainer or anything. So then after I hit a certain point where like I felt really solid and stuff, but I didn't really know what to do after that to like increase more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to get past like that.
Get past that point, because I remember I felt very solid. I was very lean, but you can see my muscle definition.
Yeah.
But then like I hit that, I guess, a plateau.
Yeah.
In a sense. So yeah, I guess, man, you're spitting you're hitting me in the face a bunch of times right now.
Hey, all this stuff I'm hitting you with is stuff that I had to identify in myself and then fix that, and that's what got me to like the next level, and to keep pushing and pushing.
But it's honesty too, and it's like being able to not take, like, just take it like with like, okay, you gotta recognize flaws in yourself.
Yeah.
And so I know my flaws for sure, especially when it comes to the gym. Like, I can be a lazy mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I've learned a lot of my flaws over the last, Like I said, I've been doing this for 16 years now. I've learned a lot of my flaws. I've had time to fine tune a lot of them. I think that's one of my goals is like I'm going to be 32 in January, and I'm like I just want to look good for my 32nd birthday, you know, because like a lot of the time I always tell the young guys too, and it's never me hating as an older guy, and I'm say older, 32. I know it's not too old, but life will hit eventually, whatever that means for you, career, kids, wife, life hits. I would hope that most people can keep it a part of their lives, you know, make it a lifestyle to where it integrates into your life. And where it's not like, well, oh, that's over. Like, now I got to be dad or, you know, got to get into my career. Because the way we feel about ourselves and our body image is very important for our mental health.
Yeah.
I think. It really is. People will deny it. And I know there's this big kind of like obesity, love yourself the way you are, like fat is beautiful. And, you know, guys,
what do you think of that?
I'm going to be completely honest and say, I think everyone is beautiful as a person in their own way because the potential they have that God has put in them. You're made in His image, but He's also called us to care for ourselves, and part of that is taking care of our bodies.
Yeah.
This is the vessel that we are here in on this earth, and unfortunately, obesity is not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not. Heart disease, all kinds of stuff linked to early death with obesity. Now, being overly thin, not so much. Yeah, I mean, if you're like rail thin, you know, just skin and bones, of course there's problems, but no one's saying you have to be lean and have a six-pack or be, you know, the curviest girl in the gym or anything like that, but it is trying to make a valid effort to, like, control yourself, have some moderation, keep the heart pumping, the blood flowing. That's what I'm all about. You know, I never tell people, oh, you got to look like this model. No, like, you got to get to a place where you just feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because I've had people lose 50 pounds.
Damn.
And they just feel like a whole new person.
That's cool.
Their lives completely just, they're like, I don't know how to explain it. You know, like things are just going well. Well, you feel better about yourself, things start to go better for you. You know what I mean?
That's cool, man. So you're saying you don't like fat people?
No, I'm not saying I don't like
just kidding.
I accept everyone the way they are.
I'm just kidding.
But I've just seen proof that people are
Yeah.
generally happier if they feel better about
No,
themselves.
I agree 100% with that. And it's a thing that happens all the time where you hear people say all the time, especially when, like, they haven't gotten, like, let's say they're in really good shape, and you hear, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but they'll be like, wait till you get a girl, or wait till you're married.
Yeah.
And then everything's going to change.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, like, such a common, like, thing. It's,
Yeah.
like, such a common thing that people say. Wait till you have kids. If it's not wait till you're married, or it's either wait till you get a girlfriend, or
Yeah.
once you get a girl, it's gonna change. And if that didn't do it, it'd be like, oh, wait till you're married.
Me too, married.
And then if that doesn't happen, oh, wait till you have kids.
Yeah.
And like, there's always, like, it's funny because like you'll see that there's always an excuse to not do something.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've noticed, right? It's like there's always an excuse to say you can't make time for something, and it's super common, just like you said, when people say that too, and to, I don't know if you're, maybe, I don't know, I hope we're aligned that your message is like, hey, when that happens, stay consistent with it. Don't just like, because I mean it does happen too. I mean, to be honest, when I had my child and then I had my second daughter, it is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's 100% more difficult. Even getting married the first time, when we got married too, it changes the whole thing. Like your life completely changes. So I can understand, but like I do think it's important to like try, like if you can't go to the gym, then just do it at home.
Yeah.
Or try to do something at home.
Or eat healthier, whatever that means, you know? It doesn't always look the same for everyone, but I think there's an important aspect of it. And I think there's that balance, you know, that a lot of people, bodybuilders get big, kind of like labels slapped on them that a lot of them are just like self-absorbed narcissists because they're so bodily obsessed.
Yeah.
And I think that can happen. You know, I probably fell into that category in my early years of marriage. I've been married for 8 years now. First couple of years, my wife can attest that, man, if I didn't eat on time, I was mad.
Really?
Because I had to get my food in every 2.5 hours, you know, and it had to be certain food. And I've let go of all that. Now I know if I just get all my calories in for the day, I don't care if I eat them all in one sitting, 2 meals, 3 meals, 5 meals, you know. If it happens, it happens. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Oh, well, not the end of the world, you know what I mean? There's a lot of better things in life. That's what I mean about that balance, you know?
Yeah. Man, that's crazy to even think about, man. Like, okay, this is so off topic, but like you get heated like fights with your wife, or like, yo,
I'd just be like irritable, like annoyed, like don't talk to me, like what are we gonna eat, like what are we gonna eat right now, like what are you guys gonna do, like you know what, you guys do you, I'm gonna go find food, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that kind of just like irritated,
That's
like
crazy.
nobody talk to me, no one like tell me anything until I go get my meal.
Oh wow, that's good. But I mean, I'm pretty sure like you're so about like that lifestyle that like anything that interrupts it is kind of like, it's just so like, this is messing with my flow.
Exactly, but then things shift, you know what I mean, like you said, you get married, you have kids, the dynamic shifts, you know, and those things are way more important than bodybuilding.
Oh yeah. No, yeah.
And I had to learn that. But now that I've found the balance in it all, it's awesome because I can still do it. We still have 5-hour gaps in a day where I don't eat, and as long as I'll carry around a protein shake sometimes, or like outright bar or something to snack on. And it's not the number one thing in my life anymore, which I think is important. And I see a lot of people get overly obsessed with it. And hey, if that's your career path, which is not a lot of money in bodybuilding, anyone will tell you that.
Yeah.
But like if that's where you see yourself going, getting a pro card and making a name for yourself and getting sponsorships, by all means.
Dude.
But there's more important things in life.
No, yeah, it's all about like, cause I can understand like a brief like, oh man, this is difficult, but then just adapting to it slowly.
Yeah.
So, I'm still trying. Like I was a little bit heavier, dude, and I was like, nah, this isn't good.
Mm.
I like to go see my mom because my wife was telling me like, you look fine, you look good. I know it's full of crap. So I have to go to my mom, and my mom will straight up tell me, she'll touch my stomach and she'll be like, you're getting fat. What's this right here? See, my mom has no fear of telling me, but I want that. I don't want somebody telling me like I'm fine when I'm not. I want somebody to be honest, like, hey, if I'm gaining weight, tell me so I can like.
Yeah. There's a sense of love in that honesty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like my wife doesn't love me. It's like, what the heck? Tell me, like, because I think too, right? I tell her this. It's like, I think it's super important to stay attracted to each other. Like, you know how people say like, oh, you're married through thick and thin, right? But it's like, okay, it's thick and thin, so now I can get as thick as I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. It's like, yo, you have to consistently work on the relationship, and that it means in all dynamics. It means like even in your physical health, like make sure you guys stay attracted to each other. And one way of doing that is I mean, if you guys were together and you guys were thinner, try to stay or work on it at least.
Yeah.
On staying there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's showing, for one, it's love to yourself, and then it's love for your spouse as well. Because, I mean, and things that are controllable, like if it literally means controlling yourself a little bit when it comes to food, putting the fork down. As I like to listen to some guy named Greg Doucette, who's a pro bodybuilder. Just put the fork down. You know what I mean? If that's all it takes to be able to love yourself and love your spouse a little bit better, put the fork down. And then there's other things. So this makes me think, like, you're right. You should strive to stay. But I've seen these things like burn victims or people getting these bad accidents, and it's like they come out a little bit, don't look like themselves quite a bit, but that's an accentuating circumstance that like you had no control over.
No, that's not control.
You know what I mean? You're like, there's grace there where like, I love you, and I'm gonna love you through this. And yeah, maybe you don't look like you used to, but it's nothing you didn't have control over.
Yeah, it's not.
But if it's literally putting the fork down, put the fork.
Yeah, put the fork down. That's the only thing I mean. Like thick and thin, like they say through thick and thin, don't try to get to that thick part. You know what I mean? Like don't be like, oh, I'm married. Sometimes I tell myself that like I'm married now. Like I could go bald if I want. I don't care. You can get fat if I want. Is she gonna leave me? Biblically, it's not right. I'm just kidding.
Hold that over your head. Bible. What I think is good things take work. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All good things take work.
Yeah,
We're talking about how, the first couple of years might be tough, but like you see the fruits of that later, of that effort. There's sacrifice.
Yeah.
There's some form of pain, of loss, of hurt. All good things contain that. And honestly, that's where I see like obesity, gaining too much weight. There's no control in that. I've seen people argue that, they say, skinny people don't have the same issue as people that are overweight. And you're completely right, because it didn't take any type of discipline to get to that state.
Yeah.
It took overindulging. It took having no self-control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And those aren't good, edifying characteristics in somebody. They're not life-giving. They're, life-limiting.
Yeah.
and it's kind of the same thing. Is like you want to be able to put work into something and be gratified by the outcome of it. And
Yeah.
gaining a bunch of weight, there's no self control in that. It's not hard. You know what I mean? Like go eat you can just eat a tray of brownies every night. You can guarantee you'll gain 10 pounds in a week. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to overeat 3,000 calories a night. There's not work put into it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah, and that I don't think that only applies to weight too. I think in like the Mexican culture, diabetes is super prevalent. I don't know if that is with your family, but in my family, I've had 2 uncles die from diabetes from both sides.
Wow.
So it's like one from each side, not 2 uncles.
Okay.
But one on one my
Yeah,
mom's side, one on my
yeah.
dad's side, and like it's in both my families. But you see, like, sometimes you'll see in like the Mexican culture, they're diagnosed with diabetes, but they change nothing. If that, I don't know if that's with your family, but that's how it is with mine.
No, yeah.
And I see it a lot, where it's like they're diagnosed, but hey,
Very seldom is there like an actual like change of like habit.
Yeah, it not until like limbs start coming.
Yeah.
And then that's when it's like it's kind of too late at that point to like make a huge. Yeah, I'm not saying it's too late, but it's like
It's
pretty bad.
It's bad by then. And I think part of that, man, and I've had this conversation, I think, with a couple people. It's like, it's our culture too that like, oh, like that, you finish your plate, well, here's another one.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're not getting up until you finish your whole plate.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing it with my son, and I'm like, well, I'm perpetuating this problem of like, well, I don't care what's on your plate, you eat it all.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're full or, you know, you're going to go over your calories because, which is not the way we're thinking, but it's like, it's just overeating, it's overindulging, you know? I've done it. I've had 12
my parents
tacos.
did it to me.
at a taco
My
truck.
parents did that to me too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not moving until you finish that food. You're not letting that food go to waste.
Yep.
That's what they tell me. My
Yeah.
grandma would sit me down, and she'd be like, "Hey, I made you breakfast. You're gonna eat it." But the thing is that she had Alzheimer's. So then she just give me another plate. I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
Oh, okay.
Never that fast. I'm just kidding.
All right.
Well,
So
she
you-
did have Alzheimer's.
Okay.
But it wasn't
Wasn't
like
that bad. That bad.
It wasn't like that.
Forgot to give you breakfast. Here it is again. Man, I'd love
No,
that.
but that is so common. Maybe it's outside. I just know my Mexican culture.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. And so it's like just that habit. Maybe it's because of where my parents grew up, the way they grew up. They grew up in a very poor area in Mexico. So it's like you're not letting food go to waste kind of thing.
Yep.
And I could understand that. But like sometimes I'll catch myself too, like the way I was raised. Sometimes I try to do it with my son. He's only 2.
Yep.
Right, but it's like
That's where it starts.
yeah, but like it's like like how you said, you know, sometimes I'm like, yo, you gotta finish that food. Sometimes, but then I'll catch myself and be like, yo,
Yeah. Are you full? All right. You're
are
full?
you done? You're done. All right, cool. That's
Yeah.
fine. We're privileged here, you know. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
And
what I
it's
mean?
realizing that yeah, there's not a scarcity of food.
There's not a
but it's
scarcity
kind
of food
of
where
just
we're at.
instilled in us.
Yeah,
At least culturally, like you said, we can only speak from our perspectives, but that's what I've seen.
that's
And
what I've seen in my yeah.
because, and then you look at demographics, and it's like you don't see our white community as obese as our Hispanic community, you know. And it's I think a lot of it has to do with that. It's just like the dynamics on the way we handle food,
Yeah,
you know, the way we were taught to eat, and that's tough because I used to overeat all the time.
yeah.
Like 8 tacos, I'm full. Maybe 4 more. You know, it's super stuffed.
See, and that's how I am right now. Like I just stopped. So like this week is when I've been like all right, I'm gonna go on a little calorie deficit because I've been so over so much. But like I won't stop eating until my stomach kind of
Like
hurts.
full.
Like I'm
yeah.
full. Like oh, if I eat one more, like if I eat any more, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
That's the kind of like that's how I eat.
Yeah.
Usually, like if I don't have control. So that's so hard to stop. You know what I mean? Like it, and so I can understand when somebody gets to a point, you know, because it takes that will to be like, hey, that's it.
Yeah.
No more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then after a few minutes, you realize you're good anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes, you're like, oh, I wasn't even really hungry anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, weigh yourselves. Weigh yourselves constantly. Don't be scared of the scale. Because guess what happens? You get married, your family hits, life hits you. You don't weigh yourself for 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Step on the scale, 15, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Where if you would have stepped on the scale every week and seen it creep up 1, 2, 3 pounds, you know, okay, I need to put the brakes on.
Yeah.
Because people don't be scared of the scale. It's your own accountability. If you don't want to pay someone, step on a scale constantly.
Yeah.
That's my biggest battle with a lot of my clients. I'm like, get on the scale. Like, you haven't weighed yourself for a week. Please get on the scale. Like, I'm scared. Get on the scale.
Jump on that little
Yeah,
it
it really.
like a Band-Aid.
Yep, because it'll hold you accountable. Because you don't want to see, depending on where, you know, what you're trying to do, you don't want to see that number go up or down.
Have you ever had to like had a confrontation with the client, or no? I never gets to there.
No, I've gotten good about where I'm just very straightforward. Like, hey, like no weigh-ins, and then it's like, hey, I need you to weigh in tomorrow morning. Like, I just need you to weigh in.
Yeah, no question.
Like, no, like, yeah, you know, if you don't weigh in, like, I don't think you want to continue, basically. But yeah, no, it's always not as scary as I think it is. People think you can gain 5 pounds like in a day, which, I mean, honestly, you can if you go from a very depleted state to like overfed. But like realistically, with normal eating habits and like maybe going off track for a couple days, you're not going to gain 5 pounds, you know?
In like a day or
Yeah, it's almost physiologically impossible to
what's the fastest way you can lose weight healthy in like, let's say, a week?
So, all right, so I'm not going to give you the answer to the fastest way to lose weight in a week.
Oh.
But the healthiest amount of weight I think you can lose in a week is probably about 1% of your body weight.
A week.
A week. For it to
So
be
if
sustainable.
So if I'm 100 pounds, let's just use that. Then up 1 pound a week.
Basically a pound a week. And that's what's been sustainable. I've had clients have a lot of success with that, where they lose 1% of their body weight every week, and they've been able to maintain that off for now months and years. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Opposed to like, I can tell you how to lose 10 pounds this week, but then next week, more than likely you'll gain 8 of them back.
Really? Why do you think? Because of the
The tricks there is, because people just sometimes want to lose weight, and I'll be like, okay, well, we'll take out all your carbs, which will deplete your glycogen stores after a week, and which can get rid of about 5% of your body weight, plus put you in a calorie deficit of like 1,000 calories
So
a day.
what I'm doing right now, you would say like, hey, maybe eat some carbs. Like I'm not completely depriving myself of carbs, but like I've cut back from what I was eating.
Well, it's probably a good thing. If you're doing something similar to carnivore, I'd just say make sure you keep some fibers in there.
Yeah, I didn't
So you
crap
can
last
poop.
time, man. The whole week.
Yeah, I believe you.
Well,
Eat some broccoli,
you
eat some
think
popcorn.
You think Liver King is natty?
No,
Really?
I do not think that.
He has me convinced, man. You know what he says? Why eat vegetables when you can eat testicles?
Yeah, I don't know if I stand by that motto.
Do you consume his content?
What was that?
Do you consume his content?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Purposefully. Someone asked me if I carried his stuff at the store. I told them no, and for a reason. I don't think that man's very. He is a very good marketer.
Well,
His integrity is questionable.
But have you listened to like his background story and stuff?
I haven't actually.
It's very crazy. So this is so awful what we're talking about. But he was a multi-millionaire before he even became famous.
Oh, no way.
So I guess he has $100 million business. His businesses make $100 million a year.
Wow.
Like he's super
He's a
successful.
businessman, yeah.
Yeah, so he barely got on social media a year ago, and like the story of why he lives the lifestyle he lives is because his kids were in a state where like they didn't know what was wrong with him, but they had a very hard time breathing, and so the doctors kept wanting to give him pills, to fix.
Yeah.
Maybe it was with the allergies or whatever. But then he learned about the carnivore diet, or like way more protein.
Yeah.
So once they figured that when they did that, it really helped their kids, they just fully committed to it. So like when you listen to the backstory and like his reasoning, because he's not like, he says things, right? I'm over here defending Liver King. Dude, I just like him, man. I don't know. Listening to I'm going to send you the podcast because I can go on a rant right
For sure.
now. But anyways, all right, let's end the podcast, man. Anything you want to add to the guys? You got a plug?
I don't actually. Just if you want to visit our store page, we're going to keep that open. I'll keep getting products in, especially the stuff that's really been selling well at the store. So I should be popping an online Square website. So if you're local, I can drop stuff off too. But it's TYT. Actually, what is our plug?
TYT_Sports Nutrition.
Yes, for our Instagram page. Soon we'll have a link on our page to our online store as well.
What about your personal training? If you need personal training.
Personal training, the link is on our Instagram.
Boom. So hit him up. Don't be scared. He ain't that intimidating. Trust
Not-
me.
Not really, not big teddy bear.
All right, guys. Later. Peace.